Thousands of people who've bought a leasehold property in the past 6 years could be compensated for professional negligence. Legal firms are looking at cases across Wales where solicitors or conveyancers didn't properly explain the terms of the leasehold to their clients. Earlier this year, the Welsh Government said it would consider a ban on the practice of selling new build houses as leasehold, following concerns about increasing ground rents and onerous contract clauses. Well, Beth Rudolf is the Director of Delivery for the Conveyancing Association, and we've got Jody Murphy as well, who bought her leasehold house in Oakenholt near Connors Quay back in 2016. Good morning, Beth. Sorry, it said Ben here, but you are Beth. Are you not Ben? Are you Ben or Beth?
Yeah, no, I am Beth.
Hello, Beth. Morning, Beth. Explain what's going on here then.
Well, we've got this nightmare brewing where the developers have been selling leasehold houses with these doubling ground rent clauses and onerous clauses requiring consent for things like changing blinds or carpets and charging for those consents. This is it's not just new build. These leases obviously now are being transacted as people are moving or trying to move. And we've been highlighting to the government for probably about 6 years now that there's a big issue with the people who administer these leases, so the management companies, managing agents, charging excessive fees because there are no consumer protections around what fees can be charged for those services. And now, because of the doubling ground rents, there's issues arising with lenders saying that they're not prepared to lend. So Nationwide came out last year and saying if the leases were under 125 years and rent was more than 0.1% of the value of the property, then they wouldn't accept it for lending. So it's a big issue. And the biggest issue is that buyers don't find out until after they've put their offer in. And actually there is consumer protection that means that they should be provided with this information before they view the property. But it's not happening. And the reason for that is that National Trading Standards estate agent team, who are based in Paris and who are responsible for enforcing this, have been incredibly underfunded. Now, that's really good news because just this month, the government have said they're going to double the budget for trading standards to be able to enforce this and hopefully focus on what the practice is with these developers so that in future people will be given the correct advice before they even view.
Terrific. Okay, Beth, thank you very much. Let's get Jody's story then. This sound all very familiar to you, Jody?
It does, unfortunately, but it is quite promising, really, about what Beth's just been saying. So that seems like quite good news, like it's moving in the right direction. Yeah,
because what happened to you?
Well, I bought my property, our property, mine and my husband's, in October 2016. We bought a 4-bed detached with one of the developers locally to us, and it was a huge step up, from the last house that we were in, so we were super excited to make the purchase. When you go through all the legalities of it, and we met with our conveyancing solicitor, we did, you go through the paperwork, and we did have things explained to us to an extent. Leasehold was mentioned, but then we didn't know the extent of what it meant. Had we had it explained to us fully, or I feel it had been explained fully, I probably wouldn't have gone ahead with the purchase of the property.
So what wasn't explained?
So we was told that it was leasehold, and when I was asking what leasehold was, I got the impression from what was explained to me was that you had to pay this annual ground rent, but not really to worry too much because that's sort of what you do with new build properties. And I just thought, well, I've never bought a new build property before, maybe that's just what we do. And I think you put trust in these people that you're paying to support you through the sale of the property. So I didn't really question it too much further. I just thought that's what it was. But it wasn't until everything was complete and you've moved in and you start receiving letters and you start understanding the impact of what you're financially tied into that it all comes to the surface.
So how much are you paying?
So at the minute it's £150 a year. It can double after so many years. I got the paperwork out for a TV report the other day, but it's all very unclear. There's lots of paperwork. If I was to give it to you now and you were to see it, makes no sense whatsoever. So the language used in the legal paperwork needs to be much clearer. And what's explained to us needs to be much clearer as well. Everything that's explained verbally.
That's half the reason that you get a solicitor, isn't it? Or someone to do all of this for you, so that they're used to this sort of language. They can explain it to you. If you
Absolutely.
feel that they haven't done that, are you going to pursue them for compensation?
I think my priority at the minute is to try and sort this leasehold out. We've got until July next year because we've sought the support of David Hanson, so a local MP who's helped us. So we've now got a longer period before buying our lease. And the reason why I feel that we're holding back is because when you then purchase your freehold, you then need to be careful that you're not moving into leasehold. So you need to have everything stated on paper, because otherwise you could just be moving from one issue into another, because the term leasehold is used because it means that they're still putting clauses or things you can and can't do onto your freehold.
Right.
So it's not quite a true freehold.
And what does that cost, by the way, to buy the freehold?
At the minute, for the developer we're with, they wanted, I think it was just under £8,000, but if we purchase by July next year, it's going to be half that price.
Okay, that would seem to be a reasonable figure for compensation, wouldn't it?
Well, maybe,
wouldn't it?
maybe so. Maybe so.
Okay, well, keep in touch. Let us know how you get on. Thank you very much. Jody Murphy, and before that, Beth Rudolf.